Hello, my leaders. Welcome to October week number 4. This week is going to be a lot of fun as we're still continuing the Moses story. And so Moses is now going to go to Pharaoh and all the 10 plagues are going to happen and all of that. But here's the big bottom line is God knows what we're going through. And so this one might be a little bit of a deeper conversation that you may get into, okay? And so there's a lot of hard stuff going on and we're going to really dive into that Moses story that, he was scared. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't want to do it, right? But God was like, no, you really got to do this. Like, you got to go save your people. And so all of that to say, God knows what we're going through. God knows the fear that's happening inside of us, but we can still trust in him because he knows what's best. He knows what's really going on. So the first one, the animal charades activity page, you'll just have some basically different animal cards that they will have to act out and try to guess what the animal is that kid is trying to act out, okay? And again, this is just a connect activity, okay? So your big 3 goals are connect, study, and pray, okay? And connecting is just about getting them warmed up, getting them to know each other, all of that. So if you want to play a different game, go for it. I don't really care. All of that to say, this next one, you'll split them up into 2 teams for the opening activity 2. And with this, you'll have some pieces of paper, some buckets, and some hula hoops, okay? And basically, you'll have 2 separate lines, and they'll be right across from each other. And there will be buckets right in front of one of the teams, okay? Or maybe right off to the side, however it kind of works. And there's going to be a hula hoop that is held up in the middle of those, okay? And the goal is to crumple up a piece of paper, throw it through the hula hoop and into the opposite team's bucket, okay? Now here's the thing, the team that with their bucket, they can also block them, okay? But only the person that's in the very front is able to block, okay? And so as they're throwing it through the hula hoop and it has to go through the hula hoop to count and then into the bucket, then you're gonna see how many pieces of paper get into that opposite team's bucket to win, okay? And again, this one's just a random connection activity, so if you don't get to it, if it doesn't work, that's totally fine. But try to work on it, try to get it to where you just connect with your kids, basically. Okay, this next one is your after video 2. So again, we are going through that Moses thing. We're showing that God knows what we're going through. And so as Moses goes through this journey of these 10 plagues, we're going to be asking them, like, when have you been through a hard time too, okay? And so that's kind of the big thing that we're focusing on today. This true false activity page, you're gonna have all the kids line up on one side of the room and you are gonna be on the opposite side of the room. And every time that you do a true statement and only after you say, let my people go, then are they able to take one step towards you. And so if you say a false statement, then they shouldn't move, right? And as soon as you say, let my people go, if one of those kids moves, then they have to go all the way back to the back of the line and restart. But the thing is, if you say a false one, then they also have to correct what's wrong or what's false about that statement and what to make it true, okay? So for instance, one of the false ones is the voice God, Moses said, take off your coat because you're standing on holy ground. Well, that one's false because he didn't have to take off his coat, it was his shoes, right? Or sandals. And so he was supposed to take off the sandals. And so that's what they would correct is, hey, it was supposed to be sandals, not coat, and that's why it's false. And anyway, so getting them deeper into the activities of understanding what happened in the story, right? Now, the big part of this is going to be on the next activity when you really dive into the stuff. So get them all energy out and all that stuff so that you can bring them back in and really talk about how this is applying to their life, okay? And so all of that to say, go ahead and see which kid gets all the way to you for that game. And then talk about, like, do you even think it was easy or hard for Moses to go do what he did, right? And talk about, like, having them put themselves in Moses' shoes. Like, if a burning bush just started talking to you, like, would you be kind of freaked out? And so all of that to say, like, God knows what Moses was going through. He knew it was an awkward situation for Moses, but you know what? He still called Moses to do it. And so that's how we can apply that to us, okay? And then you're gonna play a plague pong, okay? And with this, you'll have a ping pong ball or multiple ping pong balls, and then you'll have your cups kind of lined up like this. And what you're gonna do is have 2 teams to make all this happen. They'll be able to throw that ping pong ball into the cups, and if it lands in one of the cups, then they get to take one of those cups out, and then it's representing the 10 plagues, okay? And so each time that they make it into a cup, talk about one of the plagues that happened. And then as they take that cup, then see which team gets all of the 10 plagues first, okay? And then, of course, they're standing as far as appropriate for that group. And so, like, 5th grade boys, they can be pretty far away, right? But anyway, all that to say, You have a lot of questions at the end of this one too. And then I would recommend going straight into the prayer one and then doing the memory verse activity last, okay? And so with this prayer one, you're gonna go through like the discussion questions and talk about how they've had a hard time. How did you feel when you were right in the middle of a hard time, all of that stuff. Have you ever given up on something? If so, did you regret it? Like things like that. Go deep into those questions. Remind them that it is a safe space, okay? And that no one should be talking about anything that is talked about within group outside of group, okay? And so basically if a kid shares something that's like, you know, pretty intense for where, you know, even being kids that they are, they still have gone through a couple of hard things, right? And so if someone shares something really intense, be like, hey, we're not gonna talk about Johnny's story outside of this group, okay? Like this is like, don't even talk about this to someone else inside of the group unless Johnny is there, right? Because we don't wanna hurt them. We don't want to create a gossip society, anything like that. It should be about loving them and working through it with them, right? That's what it's all about. And so don't let them get catty on that or anything. And then the memory verse activity, basically what you're doing is you'll have 2 different teams again, and you'll have these cards in a bag or a bucket on the opposite side, okay, of the room. And you'll have 2 different teams doing it. Then you'll have 2 different bands, or it's like those workout bands that you can put around your knees that kind of stretch a lot, or we'll have hula hoops, okay? And they'll have to keep that around their knees the whole time. The goal is to get it all the way to the bucket, get one of those pieces of paper, bring it back, and then put the verse in order. It's going to be a very hard thing to do, okay? It's not going to be easy to use the bands or do it with the hula hoops and to be able to do it successfully, but the thing is they're not giving up on it, okay? And so let us not become tired of doing good. At the right time we will gather a crop if we don't give up. Like that's kind of the big thing, right? And so all of that to say, like we're gonna go through stuff and it's gonna be hard, and we just need to keep going and not give up when God has asked us to do something, right? And so that is it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. Y'all are amazing. We will see you soon.